Hello, my internet friends. Welcome to the Rigel Show. Coming at you live from my Earth Dome here in Austin, Texas. Yes, it is a dome made out of dirt. I'm a little bit of a hippie. Some know it as my Earth Dome. Others know it as my mystical driftwood fort on the sandy beach of the cosmic navel, where song runs through all of reality. Okay? It's a little taste of what can happen in this space, which you're invited to join me in. Okay? I put a little link in the chat, so you can just click that link, hop on in here. You can do that now or in a few minutes after I do my vision casting and some of the little things that I like to do. This space is a playful Theotokian riparian zone that seeks to integrate traditional values, modern values, progressive postmodern values, and that which is emerging on the horizon of the evolution of culture and consciousness postmodern values. Okay? There's a lot of names that people like to throw out there for this, but it's not quite defined yet, and that's what we're here to do, is to just play. So I invite you to bring something to share, a poem, interpretive dance, maybe a hot take on something that's happening in our culture, in your life, or a takeaway from the great Midwestuary conference that just happened this last weekend. Amazing conference. Oh my gosh. So many great things to say about that. Today, I am going to enter the cosmic navel by playing a little music on my piano. I'm going to give myself a limit of 5 minutes. So that's all you have to endure with this, is 5 minutes of what I'm about to do. Which, what I'm doing today is I'm just going to put my head down, close my eyes, and throw my hands on the keyboard, which I'm going to bring right onto the stage. See, it says Rigel's fingers, my cell phone, little green tea, iPad. I'm going to put my fingers down and just see what happens. And, it's kind of an invitation to the wild. It's an invitation to, that which is outside of my concepts and boundaries. And I'm just going to try to do something with it. So, oh my God, here we go. Piano's on. Okay, piano's on. I'm going to close my eyes and my timer's going. So only have to, maybe you get to be here with me in this uncomfortable space. Okay. Keys, fingers, what am I going to do? All right, here we go. Well, I think I'm going to end it right there. Timer just going off right now. And wow, something I did differently on that little improvisational. I don't know if you'd call that jazz, what you call that exactly, but that little improvisational process. Instead of playing around with like kind of a melodic thing in my right hand. Good morning, Cody. And usually my left hand will become the drone. I preserved the bizarre chord that I cannot recreate in my right hand as the drone. Okay, it was the bizarre that became the chorus, if you will, and then my melody was in the left hand. Okay, so please click the link if you want to join me on here. Just hang out. I've got one fun little story from this morning, but I'm going to need some conversation partners here because I'm not like a Luke Thompson who just can monologue for 30 minutes to 2 hours on something beautiful. I need another person in the room. So I'm going to take my fingers off the stage and tell you a little fun story about what happened. Let me make sure that I'm not missing anything here. So this morning, yes, Luke can go on for it. He's got 1 foot in eternity and 1 foot in this temporal space that we call Earth. So I do metal art, and I was driving by a coffee shop. Well, it used to be a coffee shop. Now it is a pile of rubble. And it was one of my favorite coffee shops, one of these beautiful kind of bizarre artistic, coffee spaces that tend to just attract creative people and very whimsical. Well, they had to move. They were kicked out of their building, and I drove by the construction site and I saw this pile of rubble, and I was like, man, I wonder if there's any metal in that scrap pile of stuff. And so I went out there early this morning because I knew that the excavators and trucks would be out there pretty quick to get everything cleaned up. Because of people like me who kind of swing by with their truck and just start loading stuff in the back. And that's what I did this morning. I swung by, and sure enough, I showed up like right as the tractor drivers and dump truck people were showing up and starting up their equipment. And I just started picking stuff out of the pile and loading them in my truck. And a guy rolled over in his tractor and he was like, "You can't do that. That's ours. We are going to be recycling that and getting money back for it." I get it. It's part of the business model. So I tried to appeal to his the part of the spark of God that's in him. I just asked him. I explained that I am a metal artist and I am taking some of these pieces to create a sculpture for the owner of this place that we used to all kind of hang out at. And he was like, "Okay, well, let me get my boss." And the dude rolls over with like the most gigantic dump truck thing I've ever seen. And he gets out and he's like, "So what are you trying to do here?" And I explain, I'm a metal artist. I'm doing this beautiful offering. And he was like, "I got to call headquarters." So he gets his boss on the phone and really went to bat for me. I have to say, he I don't know what was stirring inside of him, but he was like, man, this guy just wants some of his little shit here, just it's like little bullshit here. He just kind of he's gonna take it. Is it cool if he just takes a little bit? And sure enough, he let me take some of the little pieces. I tried to take a bigger piece, and he was like, "You take that. That's the last thing you get." So we're cool. I got my pieces of metal, which I am going to fashion into a sculpture and offer it to the owner of this coffee shop, which is now in a different location. It's not as cool of a location, in my opinion, but still there. So that's my story and my little artistic offering in the Cosmic Navel today. Is there anyone out there who wants to join me on here today? Click the little StreamYard link up there. Let me know if it's not working and I can drop it in again. But I'm gonna need some other people on stage with me, or else this will be a short chat. Oh, one other fun fact. I am also tiptoeing back into taking on some gigs. Cody!
What's up?
Welcome to my channel. So glad you saved me from myself.
Sure. Well, I don't want you to be. I don't want you to stream and be alone. That's not what you're streaming for, right?
That's exactly correct. So,
Yeah.
well, tell me, who are you? Where are you calling in from? And how
Oh
did
my
you
God.
come across this little space?
Uh, I stumbled across TLC, and um, I can't even remember how that actually introduced me to you in particular. But I think that you popped in, or um, maybe it was through Sherry as well, because I know I have watched some things with Sherry before. So I don't know. I honestly can't remember, but here I am, and I don't know. I just love the community of conversation, and um, Luke is. You were just talking about him. I think that I've seen or watched most of his stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I've been a long time lurker in the chat, and I say way too much in the chat. So hopefully I don't say too much here, and I'm just a good conversation partner and listen really well.
Yeah. Oh, well, those are like the best qualities.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't come in with any particular icebreakers or anything like that, but I don't know what's been on your mind. What's
Mm,
circling in your head these days? Because my wheels are always turning. So
yeah. Well, I just came back from the Midwestuary conference
oh yeah, okay,
in Chicago, and I loved it. I mean, I'm like one of these, I would say I'm on kind of the extrovert side of the spectrum. And this place was, it was just bizarre that all of these internet nerds are coming together, kind of meeting each other for the first time. You know, some of them have been around and they've met each other before, but there are a lot of new people meeting each other for the first time. And so it was just kind of like this, it's like the kind of the next step in the journey from lurking to commenting to, you know, breaking the fourth wall,
yeah,
and then, you know, eating barbecue with people that you know, you've been on streams with. And I thought it was really beautiful. uh, and what else? Just it's interesting when you have such a dense group of conversationalists coming together. It just created like this feeling that like there's never an end point to the conversation because you're always like, oh, there's one more thing to say, or one more like, oh, I want to get to like the heart of what you're getting at, and then you get to you're waiting in line, and then you get to the like buffet table, and then you're off to the next like conference event. But
Yeah.
little estuary groups were kind of sprinkled throughout. Hey Sherry, hey Chad, nice to see you all. Feel free to jump in here. Just hanging out with my new buddy Cody. Um, so there was that part of it. I also thought it was interesting that there's the kind of, hey Sam, oh my gosh, Sam. This is one of the bizarre things of this space is, Sam, he's been on my stream several times over the last few months, and we both needed like a roommate, so we connected with each other, and he was like my hotel buddy for the weekend, which was just awesome. Sam is a fantastic human being, both online and in the flesh. Oh my gosh, Sherry.
You got to see Sam?
Yeah, Sam was like, he was the chorus to my song. Okay. It was so fun.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Sherry, how's it going?
Good. How are you? You had a great weekend, I hear.
I had a great weekend. Mm-hmm. Put a lot of, names to faces. I'm working on a blog post that I'm going to recap some of the highlights, some of the moments.
Beating me to the Substack. I'm so afraid of technology. Well, I'm actually stupid. So I get on Substack and I'm like, no. I don't know how to do this. If I hit that button, is it going to go, what? Like, I just need one moment where somebody sits down with me and says, okay, this is how we do it. And that's what you press. And, and then I can go from there.
Sherry, I would be that person for you.
Would you?
Yes.
Oh,
we just
wonderful.
Hop on a Zoom call. This is like, I feel like this is what I do for a living, is like shepherd people who are from a different generation than me into the race of Cylon.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's a.
Well, I've got my writings are piling up, which is what I kind of want.
Yeah.
And yeah, so yeah. Did you go too, Cody?
Oh, to Midwestuary?
Yeah.
No, I didn't. I've heard all about it, and I think that isn't there a Southeastuary coming up as well?
There
eventually. No, I'm all the way out here in the Pacific Northwest. So unless there's a Northwestuary, coming up, I will probably have to wait until that time comes.
Wait, where did you say where you're from?
Pacific Northwest, Oregon.
I mean, specifically.
Oregon.
Oregon.
Well, I'm going to Southeastuary, so it'd be nice to meet you there if you can make it.
I saw the panel, and I would definitely love to go. It's probably not going to happen this time, but you never know. Maybe I'll plan for it ahead of time. But yeah, seeing the panel. Oh geez, I think Jordan Wood is going to be there, and Chris Green. Like, oh man, just a fantastic group of speakers that are going to be there. So if there's a remote or a live stream or something like that, maybe I can just hop on that.
Yeah.
It's hard to do live streams during a conference because everybody's just not in the headspace of online. Like at the Northwestuary, I walked into the barbecue and Grizz had set up a camera and a couple of chairs, and he saw me and he goes, "Oh, there you are!" And, you know, plunk me in a chair, and I'm just like wanting to talk to people. Hi,
Terry, welcome.
Hi,
Keep going,
everybody.
Terry.
and then staring at a camera too, like knowing that there's all these people out there that just wish they could be there too. You know.
Yeah.
Trying
I
to
had this weird experience where I didn't check my phone at all. Like
No.
there's so many things that I'm glued to my phone about in life. And
Yeah.
while I was there, I didn't even have time to go pee. I was it turned out that the only time I could kind of check in with my wife to just, you know, confirm that we're still married was like while I'm peeing. It's kind of ridiculous, but that was the only time of Oh man. Terry, welcome.
That's a
Terry
scary-
was
Hi there.
actually at the conference, but I didn't meet you there. We just kind of found each other afterwards.
Yes, and I crossed paths with Sherry just once. We were on one of Paul's live streams about 2 months ago.
Mhm.
And that was just enough, Sherry, for me to get that you are the fairy godmother of this group.
Oh, thank you.
And in fact, I had Joe and Joshua come through in the van in DC, and they said, "Oh, Terry, could you be our mother?" We only have Sherry as our mother.
Oh, I've been following all their videos, and did they do one with you, Terry? Did they do a video?
He did a little clip of an interview about my interest in Jordan Hall, but not just an audio, not a video.
Okay. Yeah.
So where am I?
You're in the cosmic navel, Terry, where time and space collapse. Yes.
Ooh, I've
You're
always
here.
wanted to go there.
I know.
I never have wanted to go there. It's full of dirt and it stinks.
Good point. Yeah, good point.
And I always wondered what it's for. What is this for? Why doesn't it just go away after? But there it is.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Terry, tell me, I've never talked with you, and tell me just a little bit about where you're coming from and how you found this, like physically, where are you on Earth, and how did you find your way into this weird little space of TLC and then my, you know.
Well, I'm outside Washington, D.C. in Arlington, Virginia. We're talking about reviving the estuary that's here with a couple people. And I connected with you first, because I'm a fan of the work of Steve McIntosh and the Institute for Cultural Evolution. So you mentioned that on the Discord, and I went, "Oh, I can't believe I didn't meet him while I was there last weekend." So I reached out, and you graciously reached back. So I ran the Wilbur, the Integral Meetup in DC for 20 years. Just recently let that go, and that it was Wilbur to Rebel Wisdom, Peterson Peugeot Pipeline, Vanderclay, and then parallel to that, just one more little piece in the big picture. Parallel to that, I got dropped into. I was in a kind of a New Age church, and I got dropped into a Black biblical literalist church. Had a major life adventure there, wrote a book about it, and Paul is actually going to give me some randos time on that next week.
No way.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Oh, that's right. I remember now. It's coming back to me. You were talking about you were swinging from two different churches that were really opposed to each other in a way. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
They both think the other is wicked and evil.
You know, I was listening to Matthew Pajot has a new conversation out. Where do you have it right now? Oh, Kurt Mungle, which is like you just know it's going to be good because Kurt asks the most amazing questions. and anyway, I haven't finished it because it's almost 3 hours, but he was just at the part where he was talking about being in exile because of his own questions and what the true is and how it's not the right or the correct. And and how he has to make a decision for he knows he's coming to a place in his life now where he has to choose a church, and he has to choose because of who he is. He has to choose the true church, but that doesn't mean it's the right one, which is like so good, right? And I've been thinking about this because I'm reading Florensky's the Pillar and Ground of the Truth, right? So, and listening to his conversation, I was thinking, man, we sure have mixed this up. You know, what is true and what is right.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Well, luckily, both of my congregations tolerate me. And the experience is like going from the ice chest to the lobster pot. When one gets too cold, I jump to the other. When it gets too hot, I jump back to the other. And so I get it all. I get everything I want, but I have to keep moving in order to do that.
Wow. Yeah, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It's really, really interesting.
I have a question for you, Terry, but before I do, I just wanted to share kind of a thought I had about the kind of the novelty of what's happening at Estuary. It felt like it's like, what is it? It's like this place where you kind of see these gargoyle like characters. I kind of consider myself one, actually, coming out and meeting each other and having a place at the table. And I find that it's on the edges where this is gonna be part of my blog post, but it's kind of on the edges where you find gargoyles, and they kind of have this ability to both kind of maintain the structure by keeping the shadows out, but they also kind of call out to the shadows in a certain sense. I don't really know exactly how it works, but it feels like this estuary ethos is like it's at a transition place where things are coming unraveled, but it's creating a space where, you know, and Terry, like, I'm sure you're kind of familiar with cultural systems and, you know, value memes and these like stages of development. It's like there's something is like breaking in our culture. And my hope and prayer is that it's like breaking to allow something new to grow. But it's really weird on these kind of liminal boundary spaces. And I don't know, that's
it's kind of a funny coincidence that you mention the gargoyles, Rigel, because my little posse, the friends I knew when I came, took off Sunday and went to see the Baha'i Temple in North Chicago.
Oh, cool.
Magnificent, pristine dome, symbolizing openness to all the world's religions and races and genders. And somebody noticed there's no gargoyles.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like there's no place to manage the shadows. Mm. And so we were comparing the openness of that space to the openness of, I'm going to say the openness of that postmodern space to the openness of this trying to be a postmodern space, if I could.
Yeah. That is a fascinating insight, Terry.
You know,
Sam.
Yo,
hi, Sam.
All right, Sherry, what were you going to say?
Well, that just gave me goosebumps because it's kind of like the candy house in the story of Hansel and Gretel. That's the first image that came into my mind, with no gargoyles. It's too perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's just too. It's just too convenient. It's too. Yeah, there's something interesting about that. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
My neighbor is Baha'i. She's been Baha'i for her husband for, I don't know, 26 years or something. And they just recently left for Christianity. And yeah, I don't know the whole story, but she told me a few things. But yeah, she wasn't happy about the way that they handled COVID. So that really made her reconsider. She was like, "What? Wait." She had this other idea behind in her mind, you know? So anyway.
Well, Sam, I just want to invite you in here because I know that you may have limited time because you're responsible and have like a job now. So what's bubbling up for you, Sam?
this is perfect. I am in a liminal space between my last job just wrapping today and my new job starting on Tuesday. And so I'm just literally going to go drop off my equipment in a little rural part of Michigan and head up onwards north to the Pinky area of Michigan for a big weekend with my father-in-law who's just turned 60 and get out and do we're going to camp in a yurt, that kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
but I wanted to affirm Rigel's gargoyle-ness, having got to meet him over the last weekend. Yes, in more ways than one. I don't want to even like spoil the surprise of meeting him almost. There's just something to, when I first opened the hotel door and there he was, I thought it was staggering. I had a little ditty, a little limerick come out of the weekend that I thought I'd share since this is our artistic corner. It's very short. It's
Please.
on that gargoyle note almost. And Rigel, you already heard this, but they say never meet your heroes, for they're sure to dissolve into zeros. But an internet friend just may in the end turn out a gargantuan Hebrew.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, the first day was people just like scratching their heads at me because I just look like the same size as everyone, right? But I'm actually like humongous. and people were like, "Who are you? I think Grim Grizz he came up with a camera and was like, "The Nephilim are real."
Yeah, I mean, I'm 6'3". I'm not tiny, but I was not. I was in a conversation with Rigel and this other 6'6" guy that was there, and someone kept walking up to me and like just talking to me like I was a normal heighted person for once. So it was it was affirming, you know, just like.
Yeah. Oh.
But we are gonna head off, get on the road here soon. So I just wanted to pop in and say hey, and I should probably.
Yeah. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Well, so good to see you, Sam, in the flesh and back on virtual. Let's keep this rhythm going.
Yeah.
Show. Thank you. It was good to sort of meet you, Terry, but be well. I look
You
forward
too,
to the
Sam.
rando.
Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right. Interesting. So, Terry, you were talking about the Baha'i, the kind of overwhelming openness, but also the lack of like shadow creatures. And this is all pretty new. It's both new territory to me. I feel like I've been kind of marinating in shadow work for the last few years, but I haven't like studied it. So like I don't really know what gargoyles are for. I just had these insights. I was actually plastering this dome that I'm in. And the rough coat of plaster is made up of clay, sand, straw, and water. And I was binge listening to Jonathan Pajot on kind of like gargoyles, these like boundary creatures, Saint Christopher, the dog-headed man, and I'm like smearing this plaster onto the walls, and I'm noticing that little pieces of straw are poking out, and it's like these pieces of straw are the gargoyles to the surface, which both create actually the strength of the plaster. It's the straw that creates the strength. It's not the clay, right? It's the straw that creates this tensile strength. And so it's woven in and out of all the plaster, and yet it's on the edges that the little pieces poke out. And I was like, oh my God, these are the gargoyles. And then I'm like, I am a gargoyle. and then I meet.
You've been
all these
listening to too
people
much Pajot, I think.
I go in and out of phases with him. I actually haven't listened to him much lately, but I have spent many hours with him in my ears.
There's a really great talk that he gave. I think it's 7 years ago now, at an Orthodox church with a bunch of clerics, actually bishops even, and it's called something or other, the zombie apocalypse. I never remember the full thing, but he talks about the liminal spaces and the liminal people. So he has a little story about Marginella or something, so she's marginal, in other words, right? She's a fictional person. And she goes, she stands in the narthex of the Orthodox Church, and then she goes to the mosque, and, she goes to but she never really enters in. Talking about liminal space and gargoyles, and because he gets into St. Christopher there too, that's a great, if you haven't heard it, that's a really, really great talk that he gave.
Yeah, if you want to email that to me, Sherry, if you can find it, I will definitely listen.
It's like, that was one of the early things I listened to with Pajot, and then so many people were doing things I hate, reaction videos, and trying to, argue with Pajot on, without actually face-to-face arguing with him. And I'm like, you don't have any idea what he's about. If you haven't heard that talk, you don't know anything about Jonathan Pajot. It's very surprising. Very surprising. Yeah. But you got to read between the lines, because he's not going to. This is the thing, listening to Matthew Pajot yesterday, he said at one point that Kurt Jaimungal asked him a question where he wanted an either or answer. Like, so what is it that's keeping you away from, from church, so to speak? He said, I can't answer that. I'm not answering that, because if I did, it would be subversive. And that's not I'm not going to be subversive. These are questions that I have to answer for myself, and they have nothing to do with right and wrong. So,
wow.
Yeah, thank you. Like, why can't more people do that? Just zip it, sometimes. But anyway.
It takes effort to zip it.
Well, I know I wasn't good at it for a long, long time, actually. And then I realized this is like, I'm basically digging my own grave when I do it. Because at some point, I'm going to fall into it.
That's very wise. I would say my own wisdom journey has been more and more about learning when not to say something. You don't need to say something here, Terry.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's hard, actually. That takes a lot of experience and discernment, you know. So mhm.
Terry, were you going to say something?
Well, this is old news for you guys, but I would love to know a little bit more about the two of you. Can I do that on right
Yeah.
now, or would I do that
This
another
is
time?
no. Yeah. We're
Yeah.
like, this is free flow.
Yeah, I know
This is
Sherry is long time solid original member, but I don't know your connection, and I would like to know something about how Sherry got here.
Well, I got here because I don't know how I found out about your thing, if you posted it on the Grail Country Discord, Rigel, for the first time, or what, but Rigel decided to open a creative space, and I'm like, because that's, to me, what's been missing is a creative space. And like, we can talk all day, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but somehow it has to manifest itself into the world, but through creativity, right? Like it should anyway, in some way. And I'm not saying everybody has to be, a musician or a writer or like they're going to do it in all kinds of ways, right? So I'm just, as a, not that I think highly of myself, but as a senior member, I thought, okay, you know what? I'm going to support this because this is really important. It's really important what Rigel's doing, in my opinion. And I think, Rigel, having it on a Tuesday morning, it demands something of you if you want to be a part of it.
Wait, Tuesday morning?
Oh, sorry, Friday morning.
Friday morning. Good.
It's okay. I never
It's
know.
the cosmic navel, like time and space. It's, very fluid here.
I don't know what day it is. But, because it's on a weekday morning.
Hey, Joseph. Oh my gosh. Fun stories about Joseph.
It demands something of you, right? To be here. I know not everybody can because, they have jobs and they're at work. But I think things that matter should demand something from you. That's what I think. So that's how I got involved. I didn't know Rigel at all. So.
And how long has this been here, and how did it get started? How did you get in this whole scene, Rigel?
Yeah, well, I just wanted to respond a little bit to Sherry's kind of what she was picking up on from me was this creativity, and I think I was both sensing that there was everything in the TLC tends to be pretty propositional, and for someone who has a hard time just keeping a train of thought for that long and that sharp is like it can be just a non-starter for some people. Like I have a hard time jumping in on a very high level conversation with a lot of moving parts. I'd like to get better at it, honestly, but like what I have to offer is creative, safe, slow moving process. I also noticed that there was a lack of women, and I really wanted to create a space that is welcoming to women and safe. So, and maybe there's a connection between the creativity and the feminine side of the polarity.
Duh. He also calls it a Theotokian.
Theotokian, yes. Oh, yeah.
Which is, mm-hmm. Yeah, I never put that together, actually. But, like, that's why I said duh, because that was like going through my mind.
Yeah, yeah.
Of course.
But, I found my way into the TLC kind of, it's hard to really pinpoint it because I've, there's the Jordan Peterson element, which I kind of came across him when he was still in the classroom, and what he was talking about Jungian archetypes mixed with like biblical stories and stuff. Like that was like catnip to me. When he got super anti-woke and political, I get it. And there's probably, a place for that. It makes me cringe, but I kind of lost interest at that point. But, he's on his own journey as well. So God bless him. And then, Jonathan Pageau, I've been an Orthodox Christian for like 20 years.
Oh.
So pre-Jordan Peterson. That's how I introduced myself at Midwestuary. Like when people asked about my spiritual journey, I'd be like, I'm a pre-Jordan Peterson Orthodox convert.
Does that count?
Yeah, I know. No, yeah. So yeah, some people are like, I don't know about you. And then other people are like, oh, you're an OG. So a little bit of both. So there's that dynamic. So I was already kind of like interested in Pageau just because he was doing something a little bit different. I don't agree with everything that Jonathan Pageau says, but he opens up a space for dialogue through symbolic metaphor. It has this ability to detach from like the particular of everything and the propositions even. It's also a pretty loosey-goosey space. Symbolism, like it's very playful and fun, and you start seeing symbols everywhere, and it's just like beautiful. It's wonderful. So those guys, John Vervaeke, a lot of these guys were on stage at this conference. All of them actually so far. And then, Rod Dreher, he's an interesting character, which I have a little story about. But I ran across him, early on in my Orthodox conversion. He had just published Crunchy Conservatives and gave a talk at our church. So I had actually met him a long, long, long time ago. So I just feel like there's kind of this gestalt thing that happened with me and the all holy algorithm. And then Luke Thompson showed up in my feed, and he's just riffing, for 2 hours, dropping like David Bentley Hart, Spiral Dynamics, Rob Bell, like all these, he's just saying all of these little phrases that are like tickling my personhood. And I was like, I gotta know this guy. So I just kept hanging. I didn't even know what his channel was about, but it turns out it's kind of a TLC channel where you go from lurking to commenting to being seen by the host to being invited on, and then you break the fourth wall. And so I did that. I got on his channel, I think last year, almost a year ago, probably back in like November or something. And Christian Baxter was like, oh, this is an interesting guy. I'm going to do a rando with you right now. So he kind of started that and then invited me on his channel for like an official kind of interview. And then it was shortly after that where I was like, you know what? I should just start my own weird channel and just offer what I have, which is kind of a creative space that's not super propositional, but curious and a good place to hang out and listen and break the loneliness bubble that seems to be like gripping the virtual space. So that's like a smattering. There's a lot of things that all kind of went into it, but here I am.
I'm curious to know, you weren't cradle Orthodox, right?
No, I'm cradle hippie.
Huh. Fascinating. Wow, there's a whole thing there. I'd be curious to know how.
Sure.
There's a question I've been wanting to ask is there a culture clash going on in Orthodox churches between the traditional Orthodox and the folks being pulled in through this pipeline?
Okay.
Whereas you could be the bridge point between the two.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Terry, I am loving the way you condensed that, but I have to welcome Dan Because Dan was like the other. It was like me, Dan, and Sam were like the trinity of tall.
The Nephilim,
You know,
the
the
Midwest.
Nephilim. Yeah.
Yes.
You call it well, Dan?
It was a
Dan.
joy. It was a joy.
Oh, welcome, Dan. I
Yeah.
know you're coming in probably between work shifts.
Yeah, I wrapped it up a little early today.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
pretty
Well,
exciting.
I want to hear what's bubbling up for you, but Terry was leaning into this question about kind of these two streams of converts that are flowing into the church or intermingling or estuarying. Okay. See what I'm doing there? And I would say, yes, it's a little bit of choppy waters. And it's going to be interesting to see how things shake out. But it also, I don't know, I don't identify as liberal or conservative. My conservative friends think I'm a flaming liberal, and my liberal friends think I'm sleeping with the enemy. And, you know, I'm putting words in both of their mouths, but that's the caricature that I feel like I walk around with in my head.
Yeah.
But the church, what's interesting about Orthodoxy is people are drawn to it for all kinds of different reasons. Like some people are just really drawn to the stability of it. Like it's really hard to change things because it requires kind of this consensus process. And we don't have the efficiency of a pope who can just like top down make a unilateral decision. Everyone's like, yeah, I'm jumping in line. It's a very organic, messy process. And I think, you know, people coming in who are looking for clean lines are going to have to be confronted with that at some point. And some people just won't stick around for it, or maybe they'll become Roman Catholic because it's a little tidier. Although, you know, humans are not tidy. I mean, that's the thing. It's just like as soon as you get humans involved, it's dicey. I don't know where I was going with that.
Have
Get me
you?
back on track?
I'm just curious. Have you ever read any of Graham Pardon's Substack? Graham, it's called Sabbath Empire. Graham spoke at the North Estuary. I really, really wanted him to be there. And if you want a treat, you need to listen to his video that he read, one of his essays. He's also been an Orthodox Christian for 17 years or something like that, before it was hip and cool.
Mm-hmm.
And
I loved Brad Pitt before a river runs through it.
wow.
Sorry.
So he's highlighting a lot of his own areas of where he thinks the church is lacking, and that it's not always going to coincide with anybody else's, But I don't know. I just want to say this because I had two really good friends, Graham and then another friend, Catherine, and we used to meet quite a bit on Zoom actually and just talk. And here I am, newly baptized. I can't say that I was ever in a honeymoon phase, because I came out of a place where I was totally relating to Matthew Pajot when he was talking about making this decision, because I was 23 years in exile. I didn't have a home, like a church. I didn't want one because I was looking for the true capital T. Okay. And so when I made the decision to become an Orthodox Christian, it was terrifying, because I don't, like John Vervaeke always says, I didn't want to bullshit myself. Okay. That was the thing. So anyway, I'm a newly baptized Orthodox Christian. I'm not like seeing, I'm not having that regular convert experience. I'm still full of trepidation. And we're talking, and Graham's writing these like on fire essays about what he sees lacking. And Catherine, who grew up a hippie and in her 50s, she's an artist, and in her 50s decided to become an Orthodox Christian. Now, she was never a Christian, right? Doesn't come out of any Christian background. And she's got a theater, and she's doing mythology, right? Like her theater's called Mythic Heart Theater. She's very artistic. And the priest that took over her parish decided to call her a witch, an excommunicator. Okay. And so she's like, because he saw one of her posters in town, Anyway, so we're having a Zoom call, and I'm standing, I feel like I'm on the outside of something, like really. But here's the thing. I always knew that whatever that spirit is, it's looming. Like it's gonna come for me, right? At some point. Because of human beings, Rigel. Because of humans, right? That's what it is. It's not the church. So the church has like massive tent pegs, like just huge.
Yeah. I think I remember my train of thought kind of responding to Terry's question, and why I am, and this riffs off the huge tent pegs aspect as well. We went to the OCA Cathedral in Chicago, which is this beautiful, whimsical church. There's so many crazy moments that happened during the service. But one of the interesting moments is I think they didn't coordinate who was going to do the homily. So there was no homily, really. There was kind of one at the end, which was just like a quick reflection, 5 minutes. It was actually beautiful. It's like, you have to forgive if you want to be forgiven. And but it was just kind of a proof that it really doesn't need the homily. Like what happened was magical and transcendent and beautiful and participatory. And it didn't need this propositional thing that like glued us together. So that's not really the glue in Orthodoxy. It's more the dance. And I think that's what I have faith in, is like people enter the dance at whatever kind of, developmental place that they're at in life. And so it can hold a lot of diversity. And that's been kind of my...
Well, I just, just on that, I know I'm taking up too much time, but
go for it.
Like here I am with these two people who I really love and resonate with, and I'm going in and they're going, and I'm like, what is happening? I need you guys. Like, what are you doing? And I literally just like I hung on to their coattails, right? Just. And they didn't leave the church. They didn't leave. Like they didn't stomp out and slam the door and start their own congregation, like which happens a lot, right, in North America. But they had to go through some kind of metaphysical leaving, and but they're back now. And the things crop up, but they look like the gargoyles, let's say. They pop up, but they look different, right? Each step of the way, like they keep coming up, and they're able to go, oh, you don't look as scary, or as, right? You're not as green, or you're not as red, or you're not as, if you want to get into the color thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
super.
Yes, I want to pick up on that. But Dan, what's bubbling up for you? And tell us where you're calling in from first.
I'm coming from Virginia. Yeah. Went to Estuary last week. Southwest Virginia. So Blacksburg area. Are you familiar?
Oh, cool. Yeah, I'm in Arlington.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's where most of the population is held in Virginia, is that area. Well, nice to meet you. I don't think we've talked before, so nice to meet you.
No, yeah, good. We'll have to connect.
Yeah. My head's still spinning a little bit from all the estuaries and the keynote stuff and just the interpersonal time. It was really great. I'm kind of just jumping into reflections on the conference, but don't need to spend too much time on that. Yeah, and then just getting back into day-to-day life here at home. It's been a little bit of a whiplash. My heart's still in Elmhurst in some ways. It was a good taste, and I'd like to taste more of it. But yeah, it was interesting. Like listening to both of you talk, Rigel and Sherry. There does seem to be a way that we're constantly kind of renegotiating with ourselves, kind of where we're standing, and sometimes you have an interaction with somebody or a group or someone who you see as a representative of a group. And it's like, oh, that wasn't so bad. Or like that person wasn't as crazy or as whatever as I think, and then you kind of, it sort of shifts where you're coming from in future interactions. And the reverse can happen too. Like, oh, I thought this was like going to be, this is hostile territory. I didn't know it. Like, and you step on things or people react in a certain way. So I don't know, maybe I'm projecting a little bit, but I was kind of like imagining that happening, Sherry, when you're talking about your two friends and how there's this informal exile, like a spiritual exile, maybe that happened. And like, no one actually like properly left. But then maybe with time, like, even though no one said, hey, I was wrong about this thing about you, or, maybe it wasn't ever explicitly stated, but I suppose both parties probably learned something about themselves and about the other. And then maybe their starting posture, their stance, to use Vervaekian language, is slightly changed.
Yeah. Well, I said to them, we're doing this like on the regular, folks, because they were venting and they were processing. There's a lot of hurt feelings, especially for Catherine. And I wanted to watch. That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to watch. I wanted to see. Because to me, they fell through a crack somewhere. That's what happened. And I wanted to know where the crack was because I didn't want to fall in it myself.
I guess that's one of the things that maybe is helpful about I don't even want to say estuary, but having like an estuary kind of mindset in your interpersonal interactions is sometimes if you're patient enough to kind of get through the stuff that just rubs you wrong and makes you want to like be reactive, you can actually figure out where you're diverging and why. And if like, maybe at the end of the day, like, okay, we still don't agree, but at least know why you think what you think. And I can respect you for that kind of thing.
Yeah. Like Matthew Peugeot, this recent conversation with Kurt John Mungo, like he said he was that reactive person. He was out to subvert. He was full of vengeance and, all that kind of thing. And the longer he's doing this thing that he's doing, which he said he's literally doing, okay? Like he built himself a house. He's doing this because he wants to have a conversation with reality. And that's going to teach him what the true is, okay? So as that progresses in his life, he's less and less combative. So Matthew, yeah. Yeah, and he keeps just throwing in humility, and this is the thing. Like I've been doing Lives of the Saints with Jeremy, and this is the thing that really like pops for me when you study the Lives of the Saints. It's you're just not going to get anywhere without humility, and it's like Terry said, you have to know when not to say something. It's a really like my sister and I a few years ago, we talked about how the elders in Nimaya, where she lives, like these are First Nations people, they don't talk. They sit around and they watch all the goings on and all the dysfunction and all of the betrayal and all of the pain, and they say nothing unless somebody asks them a question. And I'm just like, I said to her, you know, the older I get, the more I understand why they do that. You know?
I'm glad you mentioned that, because asking questions is actually, it's a really powerful thing for a lot of reasons. I mean, I know sometimes people kind of use it as like almost like a strategy or a technology, or like ask questions, like kind of in the corporate world or whatever, because it makes people feel seen. You know what I mean? Like it can be kind of done in a nasty way that I don't feel great about. But when done sincerely, like if someone asks you a question and they're actually listening for the answer, it says so much, regardless of what the question is. You know, it says that that you're valuable, that I care, that you might have something to teach me. Uh-oh. Is my audio still coming through?
Yeah,
Just,
you're good.
yeah, it's
Okay.
a little crackly, but yeah.
Okay. And you know, maybe that's not a conversation that needs to be had in estuary context or whatever. Maybe it's just kind of built in. But, and when you were talking, Sherry, Luke Thompson loomed large. He looked large in my consciousness, Congress, as Vanderklay would say, because you're talking about Matthew and kind of learning humility and trying to learn. Well, I can't remember what the word you used was for that whole process. What was it you said he was trying to do or starting to do?
He was literally putting himself in a position where he had to have a conversation with reality.
A conversation. Yeah. So anyway, one of Luke's things that he talks about a lot is like relationality. And so I have a ton of respect for Matthew. He's, you know, obviously brilliant and really eccentric. So I probably just don't understand a lot of what he's doing. And he's certainly an outlier, just in a lot of different ways. So he's not a normal guy. I love what he's doing. I read his book twice. But I wonder about the relationality piece, because it's like, can you just know God through like hanging out in the woods and like building stuff? And his life may be much fuller than that. You know, that could be like a caricature. I'm not trying to caricature him, but like, that's kind of what I picture. You know what I mean? Is like,
I mean, he doesn't seem like a weird guy to me. He's talking my language personally, because I do hang out in the woods. I don't have a lot of people around me. That's why I'm involved in the corner, because it gives me an opportunity to just, you know, bounce off the things I'm learning by myself, right? Yeah. But here's the thing. I think this is, and this is not a critique on you, Dan, but I really think this is where people get it wrong. Like, really, relationality has nothing to do with people being in relationship with each other. It's what McGilchrist talks about as relata. It's the in-between space. It's the relationship between all things. And when you spend time, and it's an in-between space, it's a liminal space, right? When you spend time, like Matthew talks about divination as, he uses the example of if you're driving a horse and cart, for example, you're telling the horse where to go, and the horse is going where you want it to go. Okay? Divination is when the horse tells you where it's going. That's the difference.
Because it's lower in the hierarchy?
No, because it's you're bumping up against reality. Okay, so you're bumping up against the pattern that it is. So, like he said in the Bible, there's lots of indication of when they couldn't judge propositionally because there was no law to cover something. They would draw lots or cast lots, right? They would divine, and that divination. The example he uses is that the lot would tell them what is. That's divination. So, and I've always said that we're in a conversation with reality. Like, as someone who loves poetry, That's what poetry is. You know, when William Blake says you can, you know, the world is contained in a grain of sand, is that ludicrous? It is if you're not a poet. If you're a poet, it's absolute truth. It is that. That is the world. So, but you don't know that if you're not in conversation with it. And so what that does actually is it resonates out, like it's like a shockwave. When you have that kind of understanding of relata, of that liminal in between space, then it's relata all the way down. If I could say that, right? Like you're literally, let's say it's an elevator, relata, right? It's not a room in the building. It's not a hallway. It's not a door with a name on it. It's this thing that carries you up and down to all these, and that's where you live when you're in relationship to reality, right? Because I don't know if I'm making any sense, but you know, it's like we're not any different. I'm not different. You're not different, Dan, Rigel, and Terry. We're not any different than a rock. Really not.
I don't see it that way.
Well,
You know,
because
like we're the stuff of earth that God has breathed life into. Like there's spirit in us. I don't think there's spirit in a rock. You know, I mean, I'm trying to understand what you're saying, and I'm sure there's a lot of value in it, and I'm just not getting it. But that's kind of like that's how it hits me at first, because like
okay,
that seems to dissolve to kind of fall really quick into like everything is just everything, man. You know what I mean? Like we're all one, dude. You know what I mean? Like,
well, we are, and it is, but you know. But anyway, the rock.
okay.
Here's the thing. Meister Eckhart says, he wrote a thing, I read it here once, about the stone, and it's called The Stone, and the first line in it is 2 words: be yourself, period. Be like the stone. Okay? But the stone is made, and I'm paraphrasing, the stone is made to go down. And whenever it does that, it glorifies God. Okay? So he's talking about what is. He's not talking about imposing something on this stone. It's in my way. This stone is too big. This stone is too small. This stone is in my shoe. No, if it's in your shoe, how to get in your shoe? It rolled into your shoe, and in that it was glorifying God. And a saint would pick it out and say, "Thank God, because of relata." That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about be yourself. So I'm no different than a stone. I'm made to be me. The stone is made to be the stone. And that's what I'm saying. But and so I know I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy to understand.
Can I ask a question? Why is it worth saying be yourself
because we don't know who we are.
Wait, I want to hear the rest of Dan's question.
Sorry.
If we're all one thing, and that is already reality, that is already ordained, why do you need to tell me to be anything? Like
I didn't say you were the stone.
I don't mean you specific. I'm sorry. Was that was a poem you were reading? When
Yeah.
you started off with the word "be" was the start of that.
Be yourself, and then he
be yourself.
The quality
okay,
of what a stone is. This is Meister Eckhart.
Okay, that's him that you're quoting. So I'm just saying for the purposes of this conversation and that quotation in particular, I hear be like a verb, like a like
Yep.
like hey, hand me a napkin, right? It's like do this action, but I'm not understanding why would you even need to say be if it seems like there's no alternative. It's all one being in the first place. I feel like those things are in tension, and the way you framed it to be like fully one thing doesn't acknowledge the other half somehow. But again,
Well,
maybe I'm missing it.
okay. I'll just say this much. So when he taught, when he wrote this thing, he called it the stone. He didn't call it the everything. He called it the stone. So he's talking
Mhm.
about a particular thing. And the particular thing has particular qualities that God gave it. And when it fulfills those qualities of what it is, it glorifies God. Okay.
Mhm.
So it's not about we're stones. It's not we're all one man. It's we're particular, but we participate in being itself when we are ourselves. But the problem is for human beings, we don't know who we are. That's the problem, in my opinion. Okay. So Matthias Desmet, for example, says a dog will never sit on a pier and wonder about why it's on the earth. It will always know why it's here. It has no problem to be itself. Okay. But we don't know why we're here. And 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 we end up, or let's say, I don't know if we end up, but we, because of our existential questions, we don't actually understand who we are. So there is a way, and this is why I think the lives of the saints are so important in the Orthodox Church. Like my when I became an Orthodox Christian, it wasn't read your Bible, it was read the lives of the saints. And the beautiful thing about reading them is they're not the same. And they break a lot of frames and a lot of rules, actually. I said to my priest, I said, man, this is like throwing a rock at the glass window of dogma, reading this. You know, like the church is subverting itself when it holds those two things equally important, the scriptures and the lives of the saints. Okay. So, but a dog is a dog. A dog can be a dog, and a human can be a truly human being. Right? So, because we have existential questions and the dog doesn't, the dog is always itself, we have to learn or we have to become truly human. So that's it. I don't want to say more.
I'm going to interject a little story of how becoming truly human showed up in my life at Estuary. There were several. I think that this is part of what like made the whole thing just sparkle for me. Is there were several moments where I had an interaction with someone or an expectation about a caricature of someone that I had built up in my mind, and I kind of just prayed for them, and the universe delivered. And there were a couple just individuals who I had some kind of like tense conversations with, and then I just allowed myself for some humility and for a soft relational interaction to happen, and like I met them in a whole new way. And Dan, something you said about questions, the importance of questions, is they create an opening both to see the person a little more deeply, but also to enter. Like it creates this porous situation where like now I'm looking for a meeting point. And you know, yeah, some people will ask questions to find a way to like cut them down even further, but it can also be a place to find a meeting point. And I found like every time I asked a question with just curiosity and humility, these people became friends, like deep friends. I was like, dang, like I actually have a lot in common with you. You just speak in a different way. You don't have all of the nice little smooth edges that I'm used to. And one of these people, I'm just going to name him because he's a bigger fish than me, is Rod Dreher. And, you know, I have kind of a complicated relationship with him. You know, I don't love all of the things that he puts out there on Twitter, but he always surprises me, honestly. In his writing, he says things that are just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And now I can't just like put you in this little box. But he was at the liturgy with us on Sunday. And he like walked outside after the service and was like waiting for his ride. And I just went up and introduced myself and was like, hey, we've actually, I think, met like 20 years ago, and just started talking. And we ended up hanging out at fellowship hour with like this group of Orthodox dudes that were all there. And we all just like, we spent like an hour and a half just shooting the shit, talking, kind of learning about each other. And
Nice.
like he is a total human in my eyes now. Like I can't go back to like, oh, you're this kind of caricature. Like, you know, I'm not going to reveal stuff about his life, but like, he has like real problems, you know? And I'm like, you know what? Okay. I got to just kind of dial it back a little. And
Cool.
Well, that's kind of the theme that comes out in my story as I tell it in my book. I just retitled it because it was pressing so hard. Wicked and Evil Isn't That Bad. And Dan said a little earlier that he was getting to know somebody and decided they wasn't that bad. And that's what it was. It's like bit by bit, we formed a relationship. And as we engaged with each other, everything I thought about him was wicked and evil. I'd say, well, you know, that isn't that bad. And he seemed to be doing the same thing with me. So all about the relationship.
And Dan, you're really good at asking questions amid a tough conversation. I mean, when we were talking about Taylor Swift, like you asked curious questions, and you know, I appreciate. I just want to let you know I appreciate that, your willingness to kind of be vulnerable. And
That was fun. That was fun.
yeah,
That was fun. Yeah.
oh. Well, we are actually coming up on like the time that I have to go be an adult again. But adults can be kids. This space is proof of that. Anyone have any like last thoughts or a little piece of poetry or interpretive dance or just like
Oh, I got a little
humming?
something.
Okay,
And,
Sherry.
and Dan, are you willing to say your last name, or how can I connect with you?
Yeah, sure.
Are you going to Southeast Estuary?
I want to, and it is the closest conference to me geographically. So I'm going.
Right.
I'm planning to. I know there's not a ton of tickets, and I just got off the other one. So, like, I haven't bought a ticket yet, I guess is what I'm saying. So I don't want to say 100%, but I would like to go, and I'm planning to go. And my last name is Jaasma. For better or for worse, I use my real name like on YouTube. So, yeah.
I'm happy to connect. I'm happy to connect.
Same
You
Dan,
too.
Sherry.
Oh, but I just clicked. Sorry. Oh, that's amazing.
Not a problem. Not a problem.
Wonderful.
All right, Sherry, go for it.
Oh, okay. I wrote this thoughts at the tent. I cut wood today. It would still be cutting, but my chain is loose and I don't know how to tighten it. I need my husband, and that is an understatement. Each day that passes since his near-death experience is a miracle to me. I begged God to give him back, not because I would be lost without him, but because we have unfinished business. We aren't done yet. There's so much open-ended, unresolved stuff that needs closure. I need closure. I need him to know that he's my everything. And every time I've tried to live without him, I was simply a ghost of myself. We are together, making each other. And oddly, as the togetherness grows into a solid bond, the aloneness grows too. But isn't that how we found each other? We found the other alone, himself, herself. We are returning to that, and the stranger I met and fell in love with becomes the stranger I am in love with now. It is an alpha and omega moment, a beginning and an end, and they are reflections of themselves. The end is the beginning, and the beginning is the end. I put on a song that my oldest daughter added to our family playlist. I love listening to the family playlist. I get to hear their songs, the songs that say so much about them as I listen. I can't seem to grasp it completely, but I get little glimpses, like soft breezes that brush up against my cheek and ruffle my hair into my eyes playfully. And I see them and embrace them in my heart. So anyway, I was dancing to this song that was about the Holy Spirit touching our lives, and was remembering that I was walking with the wind in a dream I had recently. His face was made of dragonfly wings. His body was simply a shimmering outline, completely translucent, shimmering in and out of view with the light. His eyes never looked away from me. They were fixed on me with an odd mixture of imploring and complete joy, and a deep knowing that didn't threaten me. We were in a conversation without words, just eyes. I can't shake this dream. So I'm dancing to this song about the Holy Spirit in the wind and watching dragonflies soar in great numbers back and forth just outside my tent, when suddenly I realized this is my dream. I began to laugh and dance even more. And then a dragonfly broke free from the swarm in front of me and landed on the very tip of my nose. And I was startled. My attention was completely captured by this creature on my nose. And I had so quickly forgotten about my dream, the dancing, the wind, the dragonflies. And then a heavenly laughter pushed its way up from the pit of my stomach, jostling past my humanness, my momentary amnesia, and shook me into remembrance. The wind blew harder, the dragonfly held even tighter. I could feel his grip on my nose. And I laughed and danced. We continued like this for a few minutes, and I never wanted it to end. Then, as unexpectedly as he arrived, he flew off. The spirit blows where it will. Didn't a dove land on Christ? The invitation is big. It's terrifying. It's real. I keep having this one thought run through my mind. Do not stand at the gates and weep. Enter in. Lately, I've had a strange anxiety, a feeling of extreme energy, like I can't stop moving. I need to do something, but I know it's not something I've ever done before and I can't locate it. So I pick up my fleece and tease it apart and run it through the carder, and all the while I'm asking God, what? What is it? And he tells me I know what it is, and I know I do, but I'm standing at the gates and weeping instead. Crossing thresholds, entering in is grave, literally. It is stepping into a grave. It's a death, because this door is a threshold into life. Thank you for the dragonfly on my nose, right in front of me, right in front of my nose.
Beautiful, Sherry.
Lovely, Sherry. And your reading voice, you could read audiobooks. Your voice is just so lovely.
Thanks.
And I love that line, shook me into remembrance. And it reminds me of the little adventure that Dan and Sam and I went on. The first day I'm just gonna share this and we gotta go. First day, we're like, we're not gonna take an Uber, we're not gonna take a car, we're gonna walk from our hotel to the conference area, which means we have to kind of traverse this trail was flooded, so there's mud everywhere, and you had to kind of like crawl up onto a wall and like kind of shimmy under the wall and then drop down, and then you have to like jump a fence. And we got to the wall, and there was a bridge above me, which I was not fully conscious of, and another bridge that we were going to go under. And Dan was asking me like, oh, like, have you done any sports? You know, we were kind of talking about sports. Like, are we really up for this, you know? And I'm like, yeah, tennis, basketball, blah, blah, blah. I'm afraid of the ball. But lately I've been doing, and I reach up with all of my might and like maybe a little bit of pride. I was like, lately I'm into cross, and I hit my head, like I just launch into the beam.
Oh
And
no.
like it was a hard hit. And Dan works with you know, patients who have had like brain injury, and he was like, dude, I don't know how you
I'm
like
pretty
stood
sure
up
the
after that.
cars driving overhead felt the vibration from your head.
Yeah.
It was I
Wow.
I was stunned.
Yeah.
I was vicariously stunned and very relieved that you weren't like unconscious, honestly. Because if you had been, you would have fallen backward down again and hit the back of your head. It would have been
Right.
awful.
Right.
Yeah.
All I had was a scratch. Like it barely even, like I didn't even barely get like a lump up there.
Wow.
But it was it. I was like meditating on that because it shook me. I was like, okay, I'm here at the bridge. I'm in this like liminal space, you know, and I need to just
Came up
kind of
against
watch
the pattern.
better. That's right.
Yeah.
It's amazing how predictable these things show up. So anyways, lovely, Dan, Terry, so lovely to meet you, Terry. I want to like continue the conversation for sure, hear more of
Yeah.
your story. Dan, so good having you back on here.
Thanks.
In my
It's
life.
great to see you, Rigel.
Yeah.
It was a blast then, and this is super fun too. So
good.
Yeah, really
And
appreciate
Sherry-
being here.
Yeah,
Nice to
as
meet you,
usual,
Terry.
Sherry's been here. Like she's been on almost every single episode since the first one that I did. So this
I'm
could
just
be
gonna
just like
disappear when it gets really big and like there's like 17 people in these
Yeah.
squares. I'll just
yeah.
fade away into the
first rule of show business: always leave them wanting more, right, Sherry?
That's right. That's
well,
right.
not so much. I tend to dominate conversations, and I don't want to do that. So, yeah, just Homer Simpson into the bushes.
Yep. All right.
Great.
Lovely seeing you all.
All right. Likewise.
And next time, anytime, come on.
Bye.
Sounds good.
Amen. Thank you.
Take
Thanks
care,
so
y'all.
much.
Yeah.
Be well.
Be well.